If you're a Star Trek fan, then you've probably seen FANHOME's massive 26-inch model of the USS Enterprise D, just as it appeared on the Next Generation with its screen-accurate details and lights. And in today's episode, we're going to be opening the first box, browsing its behind-the-scenes information, and assembling the first couple of stages. Don't go away, it's an episode you won't want to miss. This is Your Geek Fix. So in case you didn't know, I'm a huge TNG fan. I mean, back to the very beginning when I was about 13. Next Generation was part of my growing up and even influenced me greatly in what I expected from the world in the future. I was so into the show that I actually looked up every possible reference guide that I could find in relation to Enterprise D, because I actually went through and mapped the whole thing out so that I could make a model, 3D model, that geeks like me could go tour through with their 56K modems. I also went to Star Trek The Experience so I could actually be on the ship, and I mean, it was a big deal. And this year's a big Star Trek year for our channel. So when FANHOME came along and said, hey, we have an Enterprise D that you can build, would you be interested? Of course I was like, yeah, of course I would. And here it is, the first stage or the first box of the series, which is pretty exciting. This ship is about 26 inches. Now, there was a few original models for the filming of Star Trek. One of them was the 6-footer. That's the one that you've probably seen the most in the intros and in a lot of the shots. And it was so big that they actually had to keep it flipped over on top of itself. And they did this for two reasons. One was that they could make the flybys look more realistic, but the other one was that it's very hard to suspend a model of that size. It wasn't made based on laws of physics. You have this really large saucer section with this body that supports it from the very back. And anyone that's done some Star Trek model building in the past probably knows that over time, one of the problems is that a lot of times those plastic models without additional supports will bend or droop. So it's pretty impressive that this model is 26 inches, which is a little bit bigger than one of the 3 models that they used to film this. There was a 4-foot model as well, and then a 2-foot model. And so at 26 inches, it's impressive that they were able to make this using kind of stronger materials in a way that not only can you stand it up afterwards, but also has a detachable saucer section. So just like in the show, you can actually remove the saucer section and reattach it, which is an important thing. I mean, they did that in the very first mission when they were fighting Q. It also lights up and has all these little tiny details that are pretty impressive. So, with all that said, let's open it up and see what it's like on the inside. So this box comes with magazine 1, which is our first build. I will say, so I put together the R2-D2 and I've done Iron Man so far. And I was impressed with the information in those magazines because they gave me a lot of additional information for something I felt like I knew a lot about. They actually gave me a lot of information I was unaware of. This magazine, I'll say actually, of the 3 builds I've done, this is probably the highest quality magazine that I've handled so far. I mean, it's really, really nice and very thick as well, with a lot of great information in it. And then I've got, it looks like the top of the Enterprise, including the deck. And then I've also got, I believe that these are called the port warp nacelles, because I remember them saying stuff about the nacelles whenever they get hit. That's one of the main areas to shoot at. And then there's also this little box that's in here, which when I open it up, looks like it has some pins in it. Yep, sure enough, look at that, pretty cool. So here we have the Enterprise D as a pin. And then here we have the Galaxy-class Starship Development Project, Utopia Planitia, Starfleet Yards, Mars, which is actually where it was when they found it in Picard, wasn't it? I will say, in relation to Star Trek Picard, if you watch that this year, I did like the closure that final set of episodes, that final season gave, because I didn't like how the final movie ended. In this magazine, there's all sorts of great information. Besides telling us some of the phases of our build, it also gets us a lot of background on the making of, the creation of even, Star Trek The Next Generation. Starting off with designing the D, which is of course referring to the Enterprise D. Over here are the nacelles that we're putting together in this magazine. Also goes through the different forms of the starship that they were trying to figure out. Of course, they were trying to discover, again, this is the next generation of Star Trek, so using some of the familiar pieces of the original Star Trek, or TOS, to create something that kind of looked new and more space age and faster. Here we have Andy Probert, who of course helped to design that, as well as a lot of the smaller models actually that were in Star Trek. We have the layout of the bridge, which has gone through a few iterations. In this version we have a 2-story deck before we finally get to the version that we're most familiar with. We see the location of that deck, and look at how small it is. This is actually a good reference because it does show, you know, we picture that it uses up a majority of this area. The truth is it had to have been really tiny to be accurately sized for those windows. And then of course it goes into some of the previous Star Trek episodes and movies, as well as people who have come and gone. I wonder if this is also going to cover the cartoon, because in case you didn't watch it, it is canon to the series and had a lot of the original actors in it. I like this behind the scenes too. The very first behind the scenes, the best behind the scenes actually that was done back when they were still making The Next Generation, was actually starring LeVar Burton, and it was on Reading Rainbow. In case you didn't know, Geordie LaForge, LeVar Burton, was also on a show on PBS called Reading Rainbow. And in one of the episodes, he wanted to show how different reality is from fiction. And so to do that, they showed the behind the scenes of Star Trek The Next Generation. It was only made for Reading Rainbow, and it was awesome. It showed everything from the behind the scenes shots to the actual model itself and how they filmed that. So with all that said, let's start to build our own model here, beginning here with our stage 1 parts. Now I know with our previous builds, people were frustrated because when I did FANHOME before, of course, I was trying to show how to build the models and the fact that you could do them with just what it came with, and how to do that with just what it came with. But this time we're going a little more formal. I am going to be using this mat, which is actually used more for electronics, but it will help me to organize some parts, especially when we're in the smaller portions. And also, I'm going to be using this right here, this medicine organizer. Until or unless they sent me an organizer for the screws for this one, I'll just use this. It works really well. It has these little flip tops, and they secure nicely down. And this is what's also usually cool with these models. In our very first box, which is this one right here, you'll see that I also have a screwdriver. Each of the models that FANHOME releases always comes with a screwdriver. Here's the one for Iron Man. Here is the one for R2. But this one, honestly, this one I'm very impressed with because it's a very good size. Let me go ahead and open this up here. And there we go. We have this nice level in between that lets me remove the top carefully in a way that keeps things nice and organized. I like that. Anyone that's watched these knows that with R2, I got a little bit frustrated with the organization of the screws, but this one I should be able to keep everything nicely in place. And now the first thing we want to identify, here's all of our parts. It even gives us the different numbers. It gives us the actual names from upper sensor platform, bridge base, things like that. So I've got everything I need, and it actually has both of these boxes listed. So I guess I'm opening up, oh no, stage 1, stage 2. But I'm going to go ahead and open up both boxes just so I'm ready to go. Again, flipping it over. And red highlights are where the new parts fit in screws. Yellow identifies the new parts, and gray-blue indicates the previous assembly on which the new part is fitted. Build tip Protect the paintwork to ensure that you do not scratch any of the pre-finished surfaces of the ship. Always work on a soft cloth. And keep small parts and screws in a saucer, small tray, or screw box to ensure that you do not lose any of them during the assembly. Like I said, over here is my screw box. Instead of a soft cloth, I am using this rubber mat. That should be equally good. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take the main bridge module, which is right here, and then I'm also going to be needing 01D right there. That's 01D. See the little circle part right there? I'm going to be sticking that right here, one piece on top of the other, just like a puzzle, just like that. And then I'm going to flip it over, and it looks like I'm going to be using AP screws. So this one I love. This is like Iron Man. Two things about this that I really like. One is that I think they only sent me what I needed, and two is that they're actually labeled. So in this case, I can organize them into my pillbox and transfer the labels. So I have my AP screws, my CM screws, my CP screws, my MA screws, and my BM screws. Then I'm going to take out my new screwdriver here, and I found out right away these are the AP screws. So that's these ones right here. Oh, sure enough, it is magnetic. I like that it's magnetized. And we're going to be screwing that right into these holes right here. So, all right, perfect. And now that piece is all one piece. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking the bridge lights, which are right here. These are our bridge lights. And it looks like I need to unravel them. So they are marked as well. So there's a B right there. There's an A right there. And then this one is labeled C. So A, B, and C. That makes sense. All right, so which one am I using right now? Right now, I'm going to do it with the letter C. So the last one that I pulled out, this one, right here. These are my bridge lights. And we also want to pay close attention to the wires. So I got one that has red and black, one that has white and yellow. And I'm going to be using the one with white and yellow. And I'm going to be placing it right up here, just like this. Oh, look, there's a little area that fits into. Perfect. And then I'm going to be taking my other part that I already took out, I believe. Nope. This one right here. And so it should fit right on top of my light, basically. It looks like, to a certain extent. Let me see. Now take the other bulb from the bridge lights with the red and black. So from the same main wire, red and black, we're turning it the opposite direction, just like this, just like that. And I'm going to be securing on this piece on top of it. See how we still have that little notch for putting the light? There we go. They're both flat at this point. And then it's supposed to be just kind of sliding out with each other. It'll fit nicely. Like so, okay? So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be taking this piece, and I'm going to feed that wire down through the center, just like so. And then flipping it over, clicking it together, flipping it over, and I'm going to be using a couple of AP screws to secure that. Alright, just like that. And now, I've got that portion complete. Next, I'm going to be bringing over this plate right here and flipping it over just like this. First thing I want to do is I want to take this clear piece right here. I'm going to be sticking those windows right on into here, just like that. And on top of it, making sure it's this one right here, it says L on it for the left side. I'm going to be taking it where this little piece right here, this little connector piece, is over here on this side, on top of it. And then what we're technically going to be doing is we're going to be attaching some wires. I'm going to do this a little different because I know a little trick on this one. So we're going to actually put on both sides real quick. That alternate piece, now I'm onto the right side, it's the black windows that we're sticking in here, just like that. And then again, I got this little piece right here that sticks out, is going to be on this side, just like that. And then I'm going to be taking some CM screws. We're going to need 2 of those. I'm just going to put this one right here, screwing that down a little bit, and then this one right here, and I'm going to be screwing it down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take that yellow and black, and I'm going to be just sliding it underneath this little slot right here. So it's kind of loose at the moment, so it kind of lets me slide it in like that, and then tightening it as much as I possibly can, as tight as I can. And that'll hold that light in there. And then on the opposite side, doing the same thing, sticking the red and blue, and then tightening it, and then tightening it down as tight as I can. Once again, making sure that everything is staying. There we go. As tight as I can, as tight as I can. So now those lights are locked in place. The thing that they noticed, the reason why I did it that way, instead of one full piece at a time with the lights, is because people found that it seemed like they were pulling out as they were trying to do it. And so this was just a recommendation I had seen from a few people. Next, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this set of windows up here. Look at this. So you got all of these windows, some that are blacked out, right, and some that are clear. And up here we have a set of windows that all fit nicely right on into here, just like that, okay? And I just press down on that a little bit. Next, I'm going to be taking kind of the same thing as what we just did. We're taking a plate. This one's a reflective plate, and I'm going to be laying it down, and just like that. And I'm going to be connecting that using also CM screws. Not too tight yet, because again, I'm going to have to be sticking my lights underneath. And again, I'm doing it this way because people just found it was hard to hold those lights in place as they were putting in the screws. So I just do it a little bit loosely, and then when I bring this in, I'm putting the green and yellow on this side, the red and black on this side, as tight as I can, as tight as I can. Perfect. Now I'm going to flip this over onto this side right here, and I'm going to be bringing in this ring right here, connecting that ring. I'm going to stick that ring right into those holes. Look at that detail. Look at that nice two-tone detail. I'm flipping it over, and I'm going to be using some AP screws now to connect that. This is into plastic, so I'm not going to go too crazy as far as tightness. All right, and then flip that over. That's now officially nice and tight and in there. I'm going to flip it back over, and now I'm going to bring over this piece that we did, and I'm going to be sticking those wires up through this hole, and then I'm going to try and just securely place that piece into place. It clicked into place there, and now I'm going to be using more of those CP screws. Doesn't matter too much where I start, I guess. All right, and now it looks all formal like that. Looks nice. Now what I need to do has to do with these doors right there. Those are our escape pods, which luckily I do have my tools for. I have a sprue cutter too. Sprue cutters are great. I should get mine out. Because what they do is they help you cleanly remove these little greeblies from these pieces that they were molded on. So, so yeah, I could also alternatively, although those come out pretty nice. Let's see if they all are that good. I'm going to bend them down this way so that any plastic that gets lost or left is going to be kind of out of the way. I may have to dress it up a little bit, but it kind of depends on how much that part's going to be hidden. So this one's been a little bit more. also have a razor blade with me right here. Maybe I have to take a nice blue color for later. Okay, so that removed all of those. And of course, we want to lay them out like this. So we have O1L, O1P, O1O, O1N, O1Q, and O1M. Now, I'm going to put those doors right here in the same order. And I'm going to be inserting them into these holes. Now, one thing to notice is that they have pegs that are in that same direction. So for example, if I put this one right here, I can stick it down into here. It should fit. Yeah, that looks pretty realistic. Those little doors, there's all my windows. Look at all the detail. The textures. It's pretty good stuff so far. I'm actually going to take my plastic here from the last one. I'm going to use that to store my parts or hold them temporarily in the meantime. It's kind of like when I had Iron Man. I had to safely and securely store Iron Man. I'm going to pop this part out so that it's the opposite direction. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. See, did that with it. And then when I put it on top, it'll fit nice. So now I've got this nice secure area to store my first piece that I've done. Next, we're going to be doing the nacelles. Here is one piece again. Listen to that. That's metal. That's real metal. So at any rate, what we're going to be doing is we're going to flip that over, and up here at the top, I'm going to be taking this piece right here with those two little notches at the top, and I'm going to be sticking those just like that. So the notches are this direction. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to be taking this little tiny, what they call formation light. You see that it has a little notch there that will fit perfectly into here, just like that. Perfect. And then we'll be coming back up to here. I don't know why we didn't just do this when we put in the other piece, but we're going to be putting in the filled projector reflector, which is going to be going in the same direction. See how the notches are at the top? And dropping that in and fitting it just like it is on the other part. Just like that. Next, we're going to be bringing in this structure right here, which I've already put in some of my screws. These are AM screws that are going around, and I'm going to be lining that up and dropping it down, and I'm going to be screwing in those screws. And of course, we're going to go nice and tight since we're screwing into metal. Perfect. Next, we've got this piece that we're going to be connecting on that goes right here. Oops. So it's fitting over at that, just like that. And we're connecting that using BM screws. All right. Then we're going to be bringing in the warp engine field grids. One on this side. I tried to also put some of my pieces in advance. And on this side. And just screw those in. And then down here, we're going to be attaching this back piece using AP screws. Just like that. All right. The only thing is, we still have this piece, which obviously, goes up here, right? One of these two directions. But we aren't doing anything with it yet, I think, because we don't have the bottom part yet. So we're still going to be assembling that. And that's it for our first episode. Pretty exciting stuff. I liked it, and it's just really impressive. And it's so highly detailed. It looks almost like I could look right inside the bridge. put that down nice and careful. Stay tuned as we're going to be continuing to build the Enterprise D. Want to thank FANHOME for providing us with this model to be able to review, but they also gave us a promo code. So if you're interested in purchasing this, use the code STREK. Stay tuned as we continue to build the Enterprise D. Also, be sure to check out some of our other FANHOME videos, including R2-D2, Iron Man, Back to the Future, and the Millennium Falcon. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment below. This is your Geek Fix.